with you today. Something a little bit different and I thought was really exciting, but I managed to snaffle all of these vintage stamps in a lot from Facebook Marketplace. And when I was speaking to the gentleman, he also had some of the bases and handles that didn't have stamps attached, and I managed to get those as well. Now, when these arrived, I was super excited. I had a bit of a play and I stamped some of them out. I love the way that some of them look a little bit worn and distressed and clearly very vintage looking. And there were a few that were a little bit beyond repair. So things like this one here, the rubber is just a bit too perished for me to be able to use it. But the stamp handle and the base is still perfectly fine. So I will be making a new stamp piece for the stamp using the laser. I'm going to show you a little bit of that process today, but then some of them, like this one here, is actually really worn and no longer stamps very well, but I just love the vintage feel of it. It just looks awesome. So I'll clear these away and I'll show you how I'm going to make a new stamp from these vintage bases. So the first thing I've done is grabbed an old base. I've given it a bit of a wipe over. I haven't sanded this at all. You might still be able to see there's a little bit of the adhesive left on there, but it's quite rough. So I'm not going to sand it at the moment. I'll see how I go with my foam tape to see if it adheres. And I need to measure the size of this stamp, which I've already measured. It's about 4 centimetres by 2 centimetres, give or take. And I need to use some software to create myself a stamp image. So I'm just going to show you a little clip of me doing that here because I need the image to cut on the laser.
So here we see Kerry using Adobe Illustrator to make a stamp using text and shapes. She's picked a font, she's stretching it to the right size, and she's got to make it a bit thicker so it can actually be a stamp. And then she'll need to reverse the image so it will cut the right way to be a stamp.
So once the image is prepared, I then take it to the laser and I give the laser some instructions to engrave rather than cut. And it's called raster engraving. So basically it starts at the top of the image and it just goes backwards and forwards, as you can see, leaving the area that I have placed the numbers in unengraved. So it only engraves away everything except the numbers. I hope that makes sense. And once it's finished, I have to do it a few times to get it to basically vaporize enough rubber that leaves me with the image standing upright. But once it has engraved a few layers, I'm left with this. So then I need to take this out and scrub it. The laser, when it basically burns away the rubber, it leaves this really super fine dust on everything, which is vaporized rubber dust basically. And then once I've cleaned off my stamp, we're ready to mount it onto our block. So I'm just going to use some double-sided foam tape today. And I have this tiny roll that it might actually be just about right width. So let's cut a piece off and see. Now I'm going to cut it bigger because the end of my foam tape has got a hole in it. So that looks like it's going to fit there okay. And I'll see how close I can get with my scissors. It seems like it might be alright. I'm going to peel the other side off this double-sided foam tape. Okay, that seems to have fit on there okay. I may need to trim away this foam so it doesn't catch on my ink pad, but we'll give it a test drive and see what happens. Now when you first use rubber, especially this laser specific rubber, you quite often have to buff the stamp section a little bit because it's got like a coating on it. But once you've stamped and primed the stamp with ink a few times, it shouldn't have any blank spaces or issues. So it's got something stuck on there a little bit, so I'll just give it a wipe off. Love it. So I've got a nice crisp image there and it looks very vintage. So really happy with that. So there we go. I thought I would just show you how I'm going to go about restoring some of those stamps. So a little bit different. I hope you enjoyed that and thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you again next time. Bye.